The setup of Hajj Backoffice is very simple and most of it is already automated. In this video, we will show you in details necessary steps to set you up for many successful Hajj seasons to come. If at any point you think that you would rather one of our experts to do the setup for you, we are happy to do so for additional small fee. Contact us by email and we will handle it from there. To understand the big picture, let us look at this diagram. Right here is the Hajj company or license. In SureHajj, you can have as many licenses as you want under one company. This company has branches. These branches has employees and deal with sub-agents. The Hajj company also deals with vendors and buy package assets from these vendors such as airline, hotels, transportation. Once these assets are bought from the vendors, a Saudi service or accommodation contract is generated, and now you have products and services to create a Hajj package. Once the Hajj packages are created, the employees and sub-agents start the sales process. If a sales opportunity is closed, in SureHajj that's called an application, which can have one or more passengers in it. While the sales process is going or when it's done, that's really your choice, you can work on the operation, such as assigning clients to Hajj company license. So if you have more than one Hajj company, you can choose certain group to go on certain license. You can assign Hujjaj to rooming. You can assign them to airline routes. You can assign them to buses and all the other operation steps. Now that we have the big picture clear, let us start by using Hajj Backoffice configuration tool to quickly add Hajj companies, vendors, and sub-agents. Go to your C drive, locate the SureHajj main folder and double click on it. You will find a folder called templates. Double click on it. In this folder, you will see 3 different files. What we need to work on is a file by the name of master codes, and it's an Excel file. Open this file. You will notice that you have 3 different tabs: vendors, sub-agents, license. In the vendors, I went ahead and added these 3 vendors: Muassasa, Egypt Air, Fast Aviation. I'll be using the Muassasa to pay for the Hajj draft and for the visa cost. I'll be using Egypt Air to pay for the airline tickets. I'll be using Fast Aviation for accommodation, such as hotels in Mecca and in Medina. Go to sub-agents, fill the sub-agents if you have any. I put 2 here. Go to the license. I put all 3 licenses here. So way to Hajj, 100 visa, office number 52, company 2, 50 visa, office number 47, and so on. Once you finish, be sure to save, and then you can close this file. A note here, all of these information are optional. So if you don't have any vendors, you don't have to enter vendors. If you don't have any sub-agents, you don't have to enter sub-agents. If you only have 1 license, just put that 1 license. You don't have to add multiple. So all of these information, even if you made a mistake, can be redone later on while you are in the season. But following this order makes things easy for you. Now sign in into your SureHajj. On the top right corner, you will see an option called Initial Configuration. Click on it. Go to step 3, Importing Master Codes. Click on it. Right in front of Import Excel File, click the Browser button. Choose the file that we just saved. Right here. From the list here, you are going to check what you want the system to import. So let's say that you don't have any vendors, but you have sub-agent and license. You can click on sub-agents and license and then click Start Importing. The system will only take these 2 items. In our case, we have all three, so I'm going to check all three and I'm going to start importing. The system took a second and we have a message here saying master data importing successfully. Please review them in the master codes form and adjust as needed. So let's say that you made a mistake and you want to fix it. You can always fix it from the settings screen, which we will talk about in a second. For now, I'll click OK. Now let's go to step 4, accounting. SureHajj has two modes of accounting, basic and full. It is your choice to choose which mode suits your business requirements. If you want the system to handle only clients' payments, discounts, and refunds, this is the basic mode, and it is by default enabled. So you don't need to do anything in this screen. You can just exit and follow the video. But if you want the system to help you create Hajj package, calculate how much you estimated the price to be for each item, such as airline tickets, accommodation, and then compare it to how much you actually paid these vendors, and then takes in consideration your expenses per branch, and at the end of the season calculates what's your profit or loss per visa, then you go ahead and enable full accounting. For the purpose of our testing, we will go ahead and enable full accounting. So I'm going to click on it. The system is basically telling you here that these are the things the accounting is checking for to be sure that everything is okay before it enables the full mode accounting. So anything with the check mark, that's okay. Anything without the check mark, that means you need to do something here. So for example, here we need to define vendors. We click on vendors. Yeah, that's all good. We can go ahead and press save. Here we need to define expenses. So I'm going to hit expenses. These are the default expense items that comes with the installation. You could add to these items later on, but we have to link these items to a Hajj cost item. So what is the difference between an expense item and a Hajj cost item? As we said before, a Hajj cost items are things that you buy from vendors. And at the end, these things you take into consideration to make a Hajj package. So for example, when I'm making a Hajj package, I have to take into consideration advertisement. If I am dealing with YouTube advertisements and I want to pay a YouTube, I am going to choose advertisement as an expense and then put the money in it. So I'm telling SureHajj that take what I paid to YouTube and put it under advertisement. SureHajj then internally says, okay, I will put it under advertisement, but which cost item, which Hajj cost item should I link it to? So from here, if I click here, I have all these Hajj cost items that will also come with your installation. I will choose office marketing and so on. You can go ahead and fill all these as you see them fit. Once you're done linking the expense item to our Hajj cost item, click save. And then you can click on enable accounting. You will get a confirmation screen saying accounting is enabled successfully. Press OK. Here's a label also to confirm it. And then you can exit this screen. We're done here, so you can go ahead and exit that screen. Now we'll work in the settings area. Click on settings, then go to preferences. These are the information that you've used when you registered for SureHajj, so be sure that all this information is correct. If you need to update anything, you can go ahead and update it, then click save. Once you're done, move to miscellaneous. Be sure that the enable authentication checks is checked. Under accounting here, use the currency symbol that you would like to see in reporting and invoicing. In my case here, I use the $sign. Here, under Hajj installment reminder and Hajj installment overdue, you need to identify the period to tell the system when to send reminders to those who have upcoming Hajj installments or those who have overdue, so they're missing a payment and they need to pay it. In my case here, I chose 5 days and 5 days. So I want the system to remind the Hujjaj 5 days before their payments, and if they didn't make a payment, then remind them again 5 days after that date. And we'll talk about installments when we discuss the Hajj application. Under Hajj quota, check enforcing Hajj quota control if you want the system to restrict you from overselling once you hit your quota number. If you don't want the system to restrict you, leave it empty. It is highly recommended that you check this option. So this way, you know for sure that you will never oversell and you can always adjust your quotas. So let's say that you have 100 visa right now and you were able to obtain more visas from someone in the market. You can always come back here and change this Hajj quota number from 100 to 200. Now fill these information. These are personal information of your company. So your Hajj quota, for the purpose of testing, I only put 5. So this way I can show you what the system will do when I hit 5. Munazzim number, I put a fictitious Munazzim number. Office number, I put 48. Minakam, 48. Mutawif name, Nidal al-Sharif. Establishment, I put the same establishment for everybody in North America. Once I finish, I can go ahead and press save. Then go to printings. Now check print company information on the reports if you want to see your company name, address, contact information on the reports that you will be printing. Check the print logo on reports headers if you want to see your company's logo on each report. If you don't want to, you can leave them empty. Invoice top. Here you can enter anything you would like to see on the top of your invoice. In my case, I put welcome to way to Hajj, your gateway to the Muslim world. The invoice bottom, you can put any information that you want to see at the bottom of the invoice. Here I put some information about trip insurance and cancellation policy. Again, click save when you're done. Saudi representatives. Here, the system allows you to enter the information of the Saudi team leaders who you would like to share reports with. So if you have a team in Medina, you can put the leader name and email address. Same thing in Mecca, same thing in Jeddah. If you have someone who does your accounting in Saudi Arabia, then you can put their email here and they're able to update the accounting as they go. If you don't have to, you can leave it empty. That's fine. If you want to use your accountant here, you can also do that. If you want to use your accountant here, you can also do that by putting their email here. Once you finish, you click save. Now for these people to access SureHajj, you're still going to have to create a user for each one of them so that they can use a username and password. And they will have to install SureHajj on their computers as well. So we're done in this screen. Let's go ahead and exit. Now, let's go to validation. To access validation, you are going to find a small arrow pointing down. Click on that. You'll see we have 2 options, validations and processing steps. Let's start with validation. These are some validations that you may want the system to alert you if one of them is positive. So for example, if you want the system to alert you when you saved a passenger passport that has an expiry date less than 6 months from the departure date, I'll go ahead and check that one. Some passengers' passports expire less than 6 months of the arrival to Saudi Arabia. If you want the system to alert you if a passenger is not assigned to a room, then you go ahead and click that, and so on. So this is basically alerts. When we talk about the application, we'll show you where these alerts are. And this is just a way for the system to remind you that, hey, you forgot to do something or something is wrong here. Go ahead and fix it. It's always better to be sure than sorry. In our case, I like to enable everything. I want all the alerts. And I hit save. That's it. We're saved. Again, under validation, we are going to access processing steps. Here, these steps, some of them is under the application level, some of them is under the passengers level. So application, as we talked about before, application is like a reservation file that can have one person, one passenger, or multiple passengers. So here, these are the steps that the system does for each application. If you choose to enable these steps, your sales agents, as they're selling, the system is already updating these steps. So when you give your client their username and password and they sign in online, they are able to check the status of their application and they don't have to call you. That eliminates the number of calls each passenger will make to your office. So I will go ahead and check them. And then I'm gonna press save. Now it is your choice to go ahead and choose some of them or all of them or none of them. It's really up to you. It's really your preferences. Go ahead to required documents. Click on required documents. Here we identify the documents that we require from the passengers. In our case here, I got passport and I chose for both Hajj and Umrah, and I chose this is required. So I can put a lot of documents here and leave them as not required. They're only required manually, and we can do that from under the application level. We'll talk about that later on. But to start with, you can list all the documents that you may or may not need. Those documents that are very essential, very important to your agency, you can choose them to be required. Those documents that are not essential, they're not important, you can leave them as not required. You can also specify certain documents for Hajj and certain documents for Umrah. To add, you need to press new. Then you write the document name. In my case, I will add marriage certificate. And I'm going to make this not required. And I'm gonna choose for Hajj only. I will hit save. Here we go. It's saved. I can press new again and I can write here vaccination card. But I'm gonna leave that required. I'm gonna choose for both and I'm gonna go ahead and save. Here we go. So you can list all the documents that you may ask from your clients here, and that will be sufficient. Finally, the Hajj contract. The Hajj contract is a great feature of SureHajj, where you set your Hajj contract once and then you're able to send it to your clients as you're adding their applications. A Hajj contract is made of 3 different parts. Part 1 is the header, where you mainly put the information of your company. Part 2 is the information of your application and the information of the package they chose, and that's generated automatically from SureHajj. Part 3 is your terms and conditions, such as your cancellation policy, a luggage policy, and so on and so forth. You are able to change part 1 and part 3. So let's look at that. I'm going to exit this one. Minimize this screen for a second. So to access part 1, the header, and part 3, the terms and conditions, you need to go to the installation folder which you chose when you went through the initial configuration screen. If you haven't set a folder there, then you should see it under the SureHajj main folder in your C drive. So if I go to my SureHajj main folder, I should find 2 folders here. One is called Contracts Header. The other is called Contracts Terms. In my case, I chose my G drive. So I'm going to go to my G drive and I'm going to choose SureHajj Data, the folder I pointed the system to. And I'm going to find the 2 folders there, the header and the terms. Let's go to the header. Here we go. I have a Word file here. I can open this file. So this is the header of your contract. You're more than welcome to go ahead and change any wordings you want, but you don't want to touch these variables. These variables, we can change them from inside SureHajj, and I'll show you that in a second. So for example, I can go here and say, well, I want here to write company. So company name, and I want this to be in red, for example. Okay. Once you're done, you can save that. Save it to the same file. Let's go back. Let's check the terms. Here is the terms and conditions. Now, all these, they come as defaults from SureHajj, but you are more than welcome to use them, or you can delete everything and put your own terms and conditions. For me here, I'm okay with everything. I don't want to change everything here. Just a quick note, you may want to check part 7 where it says reservation, deposits and fees. And you may want to change the information here. Following that, part 8 is talking about the cancellation policy, so you can put your own cancellation policies here. Everything here is okay. Then I'm going to save and close the file. Well, I'm done. So that's how easy it is. You can set up your contract in just a couple of minutes. Now if I go to SureHajj, go to the Hajj Backoffice. Under application, click on the arrow pointing down. The fourth option is Hajj contract design. Click on that. As you can see here, this is where the header is. These are the fields or the variables that you can add to your file here. So for example, let's say here I don't want the company name. I want something else. I want the company phone. I can delete that right here, and I can double click on company phone right there, company phone. And in this case, I could change this to company tel. And then once I'm done, I can save my templates. Here we go, done, saved. That's how really easy it is. If there is any variable or any field that you would like to add that is not already listed here, you're more than welcome to contact us and we will be sure to put it here for you. Well, that's it for setting Hajj Backoffice, and now you're ready to open a new season and start working under Hajj Backoffice.